Welcome to Modern Anarchy, the podcast featuring real conversations with conscious objectors to the status quo. I'm your host, Nicole.
I tried to keep her quiet, but she's screaming inside of me. I tried to keep her hiding, oh, shut up. I tried to keep her quiet, but she's a wild, wild woman.
On today's episode, we have Keith Ramsey, who shares his story about how the universe pushed him into becoming a full-time artist. Together, we talk about burnout, becoming your own boss, and what it means to be an artist. Y'all, I also get slapped by Fat Cat mid-episode while recording, so that was definitely one of the highlights of my experience of this conversation. But apart from that, truly Ramsey brought so much wisdom of recognizing the signs of burnout, which I have been currently experiencing as a grad student. I don't know if anyone else is with me in that space, but it is exhausting. And it was just so nice to share the space with him and to be reminded that we all need to take breaks sometimes, and it's okay, and it's actually healthy to do so. So Ramsey, I really just appreciate you coming on here and getting to hear more of your story and the beautiful human that you are. Y'all, tune in.
No, I'm square. I had to feed my cats too. Well, they're not really my cats.
Yeah.
But, you know, they hang out in the yard, so yeah, what are you going to do?
Exactly. Yeah, my cat here, Fat Cat, she'll probably walk across frequently throughout this time. What'd you do today?
I had to work. You know, I work my own gig, you know, trying to catch up with projects and stuff like and keep everything on schedule. Yeah.
What do you do?
I work with ironwork. I'm an artist.
Cool.
So pretty much if somebody's like, what do you do? It's like, I'm an artist, basically. So if somebody asks me if somebody needs like a railing or something, then I'll go ahead and create the railing, and they're like, just do what you want to do with it. You know, design how you want to design it. So it works out. I get paid to do what I love to do.
Cool. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, before we start, do you have any questions?
Not really, no. I just, you know, whatever you want to say, whatever you want to ask me.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I definitely do. I think because of my psychology side, more like personal, your story, narrative, you know, how you got here and what your work means to you. So that's typically where I go, mostly personal narrative, but I also leave it up to be like a dialogue as well, kind of depending on what you're feeling.
Okay. That's cool. Yeah, no, it's just, I like questions. I like having to answer questions and stuff. You know?
Okay, so I guess first question then would be, why do you think you were nominated for the podcast?
I don't know. Well, I know Noah, so he knows my work and stuff like that. I think he might know my whole story about how I did get here. You know, as I was working as a graphic designer back in, you know, for most of my adult career, basically. Last 15, 20 years or so. And so I walked into my job on June 16th, to June 30th, 2016. And they informed me that was my last day working there. You know, just out of the blue. No, hey, you know, you have 2 weeks or nothing like that. Just cut me off. Boom, 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 you're out, you know, because they lost a lot of clients and stuff. They lost a big client, and then they were like, they had to let some graphic designers go. That afternoon, I realized that was the last time I was working as a graphic designer. I was retired. I was like, I'm not doing that no more. I'm done with this. I'm going to be an artist. Other people know how to do the art for a career. I'm going to try that myself. You know, it's time for me to give that a go. And so I decided to just jump into it. And I was a painter. I was trying to sell paintings, trying to go the gallery direction, trying to just kind of move through that system. That didn't work out very well. Trying to sell paintings on the side, but at the same time, I was welding and starting to, you know, really get into the metal work, and people started asking me to do iron railings and you know, rehabs on like camper trailers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was basically where I started, you know. So I just picked it up from there, and boom, boom, boom. 5 years in, I'm still rolling, and I haven't had to look back.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I encourage other people to, you know, especially after the pandemic, I encourage people to find their own way. Don't stick to that old way of thinking or way of having to work for somebody else. Find your own way into it.
Yeah. I mean, that's no easy path, though, as you would, of course, know.
Oh no, there was shit. It got dark, man. It got dark a lot. So it's like, you just have to, but as long as you're consistent, as long as you stay true to yourself and you have some help along the way and you recognize that, but you maintain that focus, then you can pull the nose up on it and keep going.
So since back in 2016, At that point, how long had you been working at that company?
Like 4 years.
Damn.
Yeah. So it's 4 years as a graphic designer. Yeah. So, it's just like, hey, guess what? You're out of a job, pal.
Wow.
So that was pretty much it. But it was all right. I mean, I was kind of done with it anyway. Earlier that day before I went to lunch, I was like, you know what? This place isn't as fun as it used to be. And I felt like I needed to take the steps. But, I wasn't brave enough to leave the job and be like, I'm going to branch out on my own. So I guess the universe was like, hey, you've been building your wings after work every day for the past 4 years. I'm going to give you a push and let you know that you're able to do what you need to do next. So the universe has been looking out for me like big time.
What do you think was holding you back at that time from making that leap, especially if you were feeling this way frequently every day,
I mean, it's conventional thinking, It's just like nobody's like, hey, it's very rare somebody's like, oh, I'm comfortable, I'm making money every week and I'm paying my bills. Screw that. I'm going to jump off and try to do my own thing. It's a rare thing for somebody to do, and if you're not brave enough to do it, like I wasn't brave enough to do it, then you just kind of stay in there and kind of puddle away with the same thing you've been doing. But at the meantime, you're still like after work, you're going after what you really want to do, but you're not like confident enough to say, okay, I'm ready to do this for full time to basically run my whole life off of this money that I make on my side gig. Not everybody has the brave enough to do that. So, but I was lucky enough to have the universe push me.
Yes, which is great. And for you to, I mean, the universe and you, right? I mean, in that moment, you could have found another graphic designer job, right? I mean, you could have you could have gotten a corporate job even, in a whole different field, I'm sure, and just stayed in the status quo conventional. So it's like, what made you actually take that leap? There's still a lot of you in this.
Yeah. I've been, because I was an artist, and that just gnaws on me. It's like every day I'm thinking, while I'm sitting on the computer doing graphic designs, making somebody else rich, I'm still thinking about what I'm going to do after work, whether it's sculpture, whether it's painting or something like that, just feel that freedom. So that was the thing. That was the catalyst to say, hey, I know what I'm going to do next. And it ain't going to be sitting in an office chair pushing pixels all day for somebody else, And that was the thing that made me just kind of move out of that realm, move out of the sitting in the office, waking up at 7:30 in the morning, have to go through traffic and get to work and clock in and all this bullshit. I was done with it. I was just done with it. And so that was pretty much the catalyst of that.
Yeah, could you tell me more about that gnawing feeling? You said it's because you were an artist.
Yeah. If you talk to anybody who's creative, and I've talked, I got creative friends. I talk to friends and stuff like that. And, if they don't paint or draw or do their craft for a while, it will literally start to like mess with you. You start to feel like, why am I angry? Why am I anxious? It's because that creative spirit, like, do something with this, go and, paint a picture or write something or draw something or play something, because that creative spirit wants to get out, And so psychologically, you just like, hey, I need to change what I'm doing because I'm angry for some reason and I don't know why. It's that creative spirit that wants to get out and become something. And I know that for a fact because I felt that and be like, oh, you know what? I haven't created something in a minute. Let me go do that, And then once you start, it's you feel that energy come out and you feel that pressure come off and you feel much better about things.
Right. It sounds like it's a very active choice of you recognizing you're feeling this way, not sure why, and I need to have this creative release. And even though I might not be feeling the desire to do that, I know I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
choose to, knowing the
Yeah.
benefit.
Yeah, exactly. You definitely know you have to monitor when you feel like that. Okay, I feel like this because I haven't finished that painting that's been on my easel for about 2 months. And so you get in there, and the hardest part of art is starting. There's so many things I've caught myself coming in, eating dinner, and sitting on YouTube watching car crash videos for 3 hours at a time. And next thing you know, it's bedtime. So you have to actively, like, I don't want to do that tonight. I want to come in, do a painting, and get this out of me so I'll feel much better about it tomorrow.
So how do you start then? I mean, do you have advice on that? Or like, when did you just start doing these things?
You start as far as if you have something that is gnawing at you, that, like I said, you have a canvas on the easel for a while. You actively have to get into the mode of changing your clothes, get into your paint clothes, your studio clothes, go in, grab a brush, and just fucking just do something. If you have a blank canvas, just put a wash over top of it. Do something, anything to make you feel like I'm starting the event of painting. I'm starting the event of creating something. And mentally, once you start that and break that seal, then you're pretty much into it. And then next thing you know, 2 hours later, you're like, oh man, I just painted for 2 hours. That's awesome. But there's so many different blocks to keep you from getting to that point that steer you away from coming into the studio and painting. There's so many different things that get in the way, whether it's like playing with the cats or watching YouTube videos.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, there can
So
be a multitude of good
yeah.
or bad reasons that really like affect us from not getting into our creative work. But yeah, I mean, I'm really
Mm-hmm.
resonating with you. Even just making this podcast, I view it as a form of artistic expression to create these conversations
Yeah.
and hold them. And yeah, I notice if I haven't done it in a while and I just do the editing zone, which is very critical, analytic, and don't come back to the conversation,
Mm-hmm.
I get in that same way where I'm like, do I even like doing this? Like, what am I doing? And I come
Yeah.
back to a
Yeah.
conversation,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yes.
Yeah. So I mean, it's you have to. What do I want to say? It's the discipline, where you have to force yourself. And you understand why you have to force yourself to do it sometimes. Sometimes it's easy to do it. Sometimes it's like, oh, I got to really get in there and do this thing, And it's one of those things where, it's up to the individual to realize what's important and what they really want to do. For me, sometimes it's more important to like sit in there and watch YouTube videos eating pie than it is to come in here and throw down on a painting.
Right.
So you have to give yourself that leeway to be able to adjust and be like, all right, I could do nothing tonight. I did something all day. Or you can come in and be like, you know what? I did nothing all day. I need to come in and do something tonight,
Right. Yeah, I mean, I love that you said discipline. I think that is such a like spot on exactly what you're talking about here is that we're so much more than our emotions and those states of frustration or these other things. We
Mm-hmm.
have the ability to actively make decisions still with, our critical thinking brain that we have and realize we can still do that stuff knowing that it's good for us in the long run.
Yeah, exactly.
Come sit, child. I think my hardest thing, I know, I love this. Oh my God. I think one of my hardest things though is finding time to do it. When
Yeah.
there's just so much on your plate and you have to, I feel like you really have to be conscious. I frequently look at my schedule and
Mm-hmm.
I'll see all these open chunks and be like, oh yeah, I could go, to this event or meet up with these people, forgetting that the artistic, time needs to be chunked out too, of just
Yeah.
time set aside with yourself to engage.
Mm-hmm. I'm learning that process too, because for a long time, and because I run my own business, because, if I don't work, I don't eat kind of thing.
Mm.
You just feel like, okay, I need to get to every job and get every job in, out, done, so I can get the next job moved in so you can put money in the bank. Well, I realized I was just going to work, going home, going to work, going home. And because of COVID, because it ruined the entire world, it closed up my coffee shop that I used to go and hang out at for the entire year.
Yeah.
And then when they opened up, it just wasn't the same. And so, that kind of ruined my third base. So now I only have home, work, home, work, home, work. And I got to a point where I was like, you know what? I'm working too hard for myself. I need to enjoy myself. I need to take some time off and enjoy myself. I know I'm working for myself, but I need to like break away from that because I don't want to burn out on my own gig.
Oh God.
And that's what made me, start taking normal hours, quote unquote, normal hours, which is like 9 to 5 or 9 to 7. On weekends, I try to make a concerted effort not to be in the workshop. But if I go into the workshop, it's only for a little bit for Saturday, but never on Sundays. It's not on Sundays because I need to have that time to be at my house, working on my house with myself and do something else. And then jump back in the gig on Monday or Tuesday, So you have to actively look at your time and make time to kind of break away from that norm of, okay, I got to hustle, but I also got to make time for myself and my mental health. I got to go see people that I want to see and hang out with folks and stuff like that, which I'm doing now, So, and because if you get trapped into that system of going to work, going home, you realize you can go an entire day without seeing another person or having a conversation. It's just like, what was that, And so you have to make time to make that social environment expand.
Mm-hmm. Certainly. How did you know it was too much, though?
Because I started getting depressed. I started getting a little bit angry. I started being like, just kind of looking around, be like, what am I doing? Started not wanting to be at work for a minute. I'd be like, I don't have it. I can't be in here today. That kind of thing. And it's all like a form of burnout where you're like, you just get into this normal routine, even if it's a job you love. And I love my job.
Yeah.
You can still get burnt out on it. It's like having cake every day. And then after a while, you get tired of having cake. So it's just that kind of thing. You just kind of know when it's becoming a problem.
Yeah. I guess I'm asking because I was specifically thinking about this for me as I was walking to record this episode today home from class. I was like, is this too much? Am I burning out? Do I need to stop? So I'm actually like asking very personally. It's like, God, like, yeah, how did you know? That's so hard to really check in because like we can do it and I keep doing it. You know what I mean? And so it's like, but when do you come back to realize like, wow, this is affecting me so much so that I'm going to burn if I keep going?
Yeah, and you can't allow yourself to burn out with what you do as far as the podcast. I mean, are you seeing the results of your labor, like if you're following and all that stuff?
Yeah, it's growing. I think that the hard part is I'm still in school as a graduate student for my doctorate and then working a job and trying to keep a social life. So I'm just like in this like stretched out space of like wanting to do all the things. And like something like this is for me, kind of like you, where it's like it's your own work. So you're like, yeah, of course I'm going to put this in. But yeah, grad school is a wave.
I hear you. Yeah, I can totally get that. I used to do I have a Facebook page called The No Down, which I used to go and interview artists and writers and musicians and stuff, just to kind of get that creative feel out there. Plus, try to add, try to do video production and stuff like that. Did the whole thing myself. Did the interviews, the editing, and all that stuff. And I came up with like 14 episodes.
Yeah.
And then it stopped. Because one, I couldn't get funding. And two, I was like, this is a lot of work and I need to change and do something else, put more time into the business and stuff like that so I could actually get money coming in. But it was fun. It was fun while I was doing it. I loved the conversations. I loved, the editing. I controlled everything and it came out perfectly the way I wanted it to. It was a great concept. But it was just like, it was too much to do.
It is a lot.
So I just let that go. Yeah, it is. It is. And but you feel like it's an important thing. It's important work. It's important work for you to do that, to get these voices out there and get them appreciated, But at the same time, you're like, man, is this really going to pay off?
Yep.
And for me, because I was starting to run my own business, I was like, you know what? I have to put that off to the side. Maybe one day I'll pick it back up because I have a lot of artists that I want to talk to now. But for right now, I need to concentrate on building one business instead of everything. I mean, I've even stopped looking for gallery shows for this stuff because I was like, get out of the gallery system. Don't even worry about it. Get a couple of retailers. Focus on the metal work. Focus on the business and build that up. And come back to everything later. I saw that.
Did you see
that, Kitty? I saw that. the
She
attention.
just slapped me. Yes, she does
Yeah,
this.
she wants the attention.
And with
She's like,
no
you're not paying much attention.
exactly. And did you see how close she was to me? She is so
Yeah,
needy. Oh
yeah,
my God. Okay,
yeah.
bye.
Now she's back in the bedroom. She's like upset.
The worst thing is I have lovers over with me and she just does
Hmm.
not obviously vibe at all. She hates
Yeah,
it.
cats are something else,
Oh
man.
my
I'm telling you. Uh, they're
God.
something else. They're weird creatures.
I know,
But
but
but we still want to be
exactly.
around them.
Well, because we
I
have
don't
to
get it.
win their love. I think that's what it is. It's
Yeah,
the
I think that's
chase.
exactly it.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. It's one of those things where it's just like, okay, this one time she really wanted me to pet her. Oh, that's
Exactly.
awesome.
Exactly.
So it's like,
It's like my
it's
dating
crazy.
life. Yeah, it's the same, just the same problem. This time it's gonna be sweet, I promise.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Ugh,
it's what we do,
I
It
know,
is
I
what we
know,
do.
I know. Yeah, okay, so
Yeah.
you were talking about how you decided to go with the welding, ironwork,
Hmm.
full everything. Yeah, I guess I don't really think for me, it's like I'm not really trying to make money off of this. I think I just also have anxiety. So like whenever I just have like a lot of things going on, it's really hard to like recognize how much time you have to do things. And frequently,
Yeah.
yeah, with my anxiety brain, I'm like, I don't have time to do all this. I don't have time. And I think I usually do. It's just like I need to breathe and like with all these different things it can be. And I'm sure you have that same feeling running your
Hmm.
own business. It's like, you're balancing 10 different plates.
You know what? I couldn't survive my day without having my jot book.
Mm,
Where I jot down notes, where I jot down my daily schedule. And holy crap, I'm like, I have to keep it organized like that, or else I'm just like, in here, it's not going to work. It's just not going to work. And so that helps me keep schedule. And it's like, I think the way you get through the day with organization is you have to plot your schedule out. I'm going to do 2 hours of this, 2 hours of that. By the time 7 o'clock rolls around, I'm doing this, this, and this. By the time 10 o'clock rolls around, I'm done, So you have to kind of like plot out your schedule mentally as well as jot it down in a book so that keeps schedule. And I love keeping schedule. That keeps me meeting people on time. It keeps my workload organized and stuff like that so I don't get too crazy with it. And it just works. You have to do that for your mental health.
right. I don't know how people exist without planners. Like I truly have no idea.
Me neither. Me neither. I've actually had my book, went over to Lowe's, which is across town, left my book at Lowe's, got all the way home, drove back to Lowe's to get my book because I was like, I have to have my book back. I gotta get it back, So, and it's not like it was important information in it. It was just my schedule and my day, and I just felt lost without it.
Which is super
So
important. And it's interesting though, because yours is paper too. Is there something about the phone that you're just like not drawn to using your phone as your,
I use my phone and I put in like reminders.
yeah.
But I'm like paper. Even when I like make a list to go to the store and stuff, I write it in paper.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm in the same way where like I can't do it on the phone. I need it on paper. But like once it's down on the paper, you're at least able to kind of like take it out of your head and know that it's somewhere else safely. Because it's like we can
Yeah,
only
exactly.
juggle so many different ideas in our heads and responsibilities at one time. Like we are not endless computers, like we really can
Yeah.
only hold so much.
Yeah, and once you try to hold so much in your head, that's when things just leak out. You start forgetting stuff. Be like, oh crap, I need to meet this person over here yesterday. And I got no time for that. I'm like, okay, write it down. I write it down in my workshop and have like four pieces of paper up on the wall and stuff like that, so I can look at quickly and keep my day going and keep the schedule organized.
For sure. So then what
Yeah.
about artists have the stereotype of being so disorganized.
I don't know. It's a stereotype. I mean, artists all the kooky artists. Oh, I'm so kooky. I mean, it's like enough of that shit. I'm a professional. I don't like being disorganized. I'm sorry, folks. So some people are weird like that. Some people like play up the stereotype of an artist, the crazy, quirky artist and stuff like that, which is fine. Everybody needs something like that. But for me, I'm like, I've been doing art for way too long to be that quirky and that disorganized and get this far,
For sure. Yeah. And I'm even that organization and planning and knowing what you're going to do and not having that bounce around in your head is so necessary just to be creative, getting those ideas and, for different projects or pieces. You can't be bouncing around your schedule also in your head at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You can't like, oh, I'm going to, do all this stuff over here, all this crazy stuff. I have these great ideas and then try to make them manifest when you didn't write them down. And then them things go in and out and in and out and in and out. And it's like,
yeah,
when are you going to actually finish something that you started? When are you going to sit down and finish that series of work or something like that, So, and I've been, like I said, I'm turning 50 this year.
Oh, congrats.
And so, thanks. Glad I made it this far,
Woo!
But, it's just like, at some point you realize, okay, if I'm going to be a professional, I have to actively act like a professional and not like an art student, because those days are over,
Yeah, definitely. Do you have any big goals for turning 50?
Nah. Nah.
No.
I would just want to end the year with a certain amount of money in the bank so I feel comfortable about giving myself a raise. So I'm just like hustling up for that. There's no like grand goals. Oh, I want to go to Paris, although I do want to go to Paris, but not anytime soon. Oh, I want to, do this and that. Nah. It's like, as long as, keep on keeping on, keep pushing the artwork, keep pushing the business, and see how far I can take this thing before I go,
Definitely.
So.
Yeah. What do you think is one of the biggest things you've learned being your own boss?
You have to grow up. You have to organize yourself like we were just talking about. And you have to do things where, you have to plan things out, I think. You have to actively okay, if I do this, how am I going to make that successful? And it's, with the business, you're trying this, and that. You're trying, to throw anything when you first start off, you throw anything at the wall to see if it sticks. And I did that, I was like, oh, this is going to work. No, it didn't work. Oh, this is a great idea. I'm going to get this patent. No, it's not. You're not getting a patent. You're not into that. And so, you realize after all this rigmarole and trying to figure everything out, you just realize it just kind of focuses. Then you stay focused on what you're doing.
Yeah.
And people start gravitating toward you, being like, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you make this? But can you make it the way you design it and stuff like that? Because I've done I think 10 free libraries out of wood, and they're around town and stuff like that. One is down in North Carolina, and that was something I never thought I would do. But once somebody asked me to do one, I was like, okay, I'll try it. And then I did it and did it over and over again. And I love doing little free libraries because they're when I was younger, I really liked doll houses. I was amazed by doll houses. So I guess this is my entry into making this kind of structure, a small structure for books,
Yeah.
So it's just it's fun, it's creative, it's for the community, and blah blah blah, all that stuff. But I love doing it because it allows me to be creative in a different way without having to get into metal and ironwork and stuff like that. Put that off to the side, do some woodwork for a while, then I could jump back into metalwork and enjoy that too. So you have to. Figuring this all out is just you just have to throw stuff at the wall and then try to figure it out from there and be like, okay, this does work. And people are gravitating toward that. So let's keep going there. And I've carved out a nice niche market where I don't just do brand new railings or anything like that. Sometimes it's people have railings on their house that just need repairs.
Right.
I've carved out a niche market for that. I carved out a niche market for fixing metal deck chairs and metal chairs and stuff for people that, that came apart and stuff. Because not that many people know a welder who would do all this small stuff.
Right.
But they need it done, So I'm glad to be that guy. And I've carved that out.
Definitely. And then you have the diversity of all the different things. So you're never too stuck in one thing, doing the same thing over and over.
When I first started,
yeah,
I had an artist tell me, he was like, I told him, I lost my job. I'm going to be an artist and stuff like that. He was like, here's some advice for you. stick to one thing. And I was like, nah, bro, you stick to one thing. I'm going to do this other thing. I was like, I'm not sticking to one thing because that's not how I want to be. I don't want to get bored doing one thing at a time, one thing always, and stuff like that. I mean, I have this series back here. I have the Cityscapes and Noir series, but I also have this other series back here. So it's like if he would have said stick to one thing and I stuck to one thing, I'd get bored with doing this and not branch out from there.
Right.
And stop painting altogether or stop doing metal work altogether or something like that. So I'm like, I'm taking everything I can, bro. I need to do all this stuff because I need to find my way into this market because I'm trying to get some market share from some of these artists out here that just do one thing.
Yeah.
So
exactly. It's
Yeah,
amazing
so-
that you would trust yourself to have all these different capacities. I'm sure it took you leaning into these areas where maybe woodworking wasn't your specialty and you had to gain,
Mhm.
more experience. Not everyone even takes that leap, you know?
Yeah. With me, I love the fact that I have to problem solve. I love being in this business is like every day you have to figure out, oh, how do I make this work? How do I make this look the way it's supposed to? How do I design this? And have a practical reason for the design, you know? And before I lost my job as a graphic designer, I was already doing that after hours. And so I trained myself to do practical work where I had to figure things out. And when it came down to woodwork, I was already doing woodwork and stuff on the side. I was, redoing antiques and making those into like steampunk works and found punk artwork and stuff like that. So I kind of already knew how to go about making like little free libraries and stuff like that. So it just blew up from there. And you just figure it out from there, just figure it out.
It sounds like you probably developed a very strong sense of connection to yourself from being your own boss and learning to trust
Yeah.
that you could do all of these different things.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way of putting it because, people come up to me and it's like, can you do this? Like I have had the first real job I had when I lost my job. I went into the coffee shop. A brother was behind the counter. I was like, dude, I lost my job. And he said, congratulations. And at the moment, I didn't know what he meant. I was like, congratulations. I was like, oh, okay. He was like, I got a job for you. I have a friend of mine who has this camper, this little like teardrop camper that they're going to use for the community garden.
Yeah.
They need it rehab and rebuilt. Can you build it? I was like, I don't know. I never tried one, but I'll give it a go, because I realized that I could problem solve this and kind of figure it all out. And I made this thing and it's fantastic. And so, it comes down to asking yourself, hey, if somebody asked me if I could do this, I mean, you have to know your limits, but you also have to trust yourself with something. But like, okay, I could put this piece and this piece together. Yeah, I could do that job for you. And then you figure it out from there. And then you find out, oh shit, that's something else I can do now, So.
Exactly. And then you
Yeah.
you get a better confidence, I'm sure, now when you take on new projects, knowing how far you've come in learning to trust yourself. Yeah.
Exactly. And it helps that around here, around Richmond, Virginia, people are like, oh, I know a guy. And it's like Ramsey, I know a guy who could do this. And people just started saying, oh, you need that? I know a guy for you. Let me go to call Ramsey. I was like, people are actually saying that. People are literally saying that to each other. And now that's like my tagline, you know a guy. And, so that pretty much says it right there. It's fantastic. I never knew it'd be like this.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Tell me more about what it feels like to be that guy.
It's incredible because I know people, and like I said, I carved out a niche. People don't have anybody else to go to. Like if they have a like lawn chair that needs a weld on it, they have nobody else to go to. They don't know where to go.
Yeah.
They call me, boom, 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 bring it over to the shop on Saturday. I'll fix it for you. Fix it, give it back to them. They're just like, wow, instead of having to go buy something new, they could use this old thing.
Right.
And keep on.
Yeah.
And I have a rule where I just build the hell out of everything anyway. So it's just like, make sure you don't have to come back for this, And most of the times I'm like, I look at some of the stuff that they buy from stores and it's just like, they just spot welded this. It's going to fall apart. So I just do a full weld on it and make sure it works.
Right.
So, I trust myself to do their job, but I also trust myself to do it well and make sure that, if this is fixed by me, then it's going to stay fixed,
What do you think
So,
drives you to have that?
the old way America used to build things, because I look at a lot of stuff from, documentaries. I love old machinery. I love old antiques. And the way they used to build things used to be it was built to last. Not like this is built to be like, oh, you have to get a new iPhone every 2 years, to stay up or else we're going to screw you, So, that planned obsolescence crap that they built into a bunch of stuff and made in America now. It's just like, I don't buy into it. I was like, I'd rather have somebody buy something once than have to keep buying it over and over again. Because I don't like having to buy things over and over again when they break. It's like, it's like, nah, dude. And I'm a really bad consumer because I make everything.
Really?
Yeah, it's like, if I need a phone holder or something like that, I'll build a phone holder. If I need lamps,
amazing.
This lamp back here. I mean, it's like, hey, I need a lamp for my, my desk at work. Make a lamp. More fun to do it that way. And you make sure you built it right. And I've had these lamps. I've had stuff in here for like over 15 years, and nothing has happened to them. Whereas if you go to like, some store, you buy it and it's like some plastic piece of crap that burns out. What's the use of that? It's like, what's the point? So.
Yeah. What art do you not engage in?
That's a great question.
I know, because I'm like, okay, so lamps, iron, painting. I'm like, podcasting at one point. I'm just like, all your conversations. I'm like, yeah.
My girlfriend said I was creatively ADD. So I was like, yeah, you got to
I love that.
She was like, are you going to finish it? I was like, yeah, I finished stuff. Because, she'll be like, oh, you came up with this project. What happened to that? I'm like, yeah, I kind of put that down for this other thing. I finished the other thing. So, but yeah, it's life is too short to just piddle around and do one thing. And so I just enjoy doing different things, and I think it came down to years ago, like when I was a lot younger, I was like, I looked at things that other people were doing. It's like, wow, that's fantastic. Why not me? And that why not me has stuck with me my entire life. And it's like, I could do that. Why can't I do that?
Yes.
So it's you have to get to a point where you're like, I need to give it a shot because it might be a complete failure, but it might be a complete success. I never know until I try. I don't want to live with that question of, oh, could I build a lamp?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You could build a lamp and you could build 100 more and have a good time doing it. So that's what it comes down to. It's just, why not me? Those 3 words.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to tune in when I get jealous of other people around me and try to say, like, what is it that they have that I'm like valuing that I think I can't have, right? Like maybe they play an instrument I want to learn how to play and like secretly I'm a little jealous. It's like, where am I thinking that I couldn't also be that person, or someone's fashion sense? Like we can always be evolving into whatever, values, things that we want,
Yeah, kind of got to put the time in. I mean, I have a bunch of guitars sitting around the house. I don't know how to play chords, but the mere fact that I pick up one, I picked it up and I play my favorite music every time I play it. And it's just like, I'm just playing stuff that I created.
Yeah, amazing.
And it's like, I'm not ready to go on stage and do all these things, but it's still good enough for me because I don't want to be a musician. But sometimes I don't want to paint. Sometimes I don't want to weld. Sometimes I don't want to woodwork. But I want to be creative. So I'll just pick up the guitar and just play some of the stuff I've been playing for years.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just, it's like, why not? Treat yourself a little bit. And I have a piano in my workshop.
Yeah.
Out of tune. Some of the keys stick. But I've always wanted a piano. And I got one of the other artists in the workshop, to pull it down from the end of the hallway down into my workshop. And sometimes I'll just sit after work, not wanting to go home, just sit there and just play,
I think I wonder if it comes from this fear of perfectionism, like if you study one art, you get really good at that one art. Kind of like you were saying before with the guitar, can't play a chord or, can't play a song, whatever
Hmm.
you said. But not needing yourself to be perfect in that to engage in it, right? I think a lot of people get kind of
Yeah.
stuck there where they're like, if I can't play a song, what's the point? What's the point?
Yeah, I'm not very good at it, so I don't want to, It's like I'm not very good at it, but I have fun doing it when I do it. It's like I'm not trying to be a recording artist. I got enough on my plate. I don't want to go touring or nothing, but at the same time, I do want to pluck around sometimes, and it's that cathartic thing. And sometimes it doesn't even have to be anything, just that getting that noise out a little bit. And I think it is a fear of oh, if I can't do it well, I don't want to do it. There's no excuse. There's no excuse not to do it,
Mm,
So,
yeah. A little bit meta question. What do you think it means to be an artist, or for you, how do you identify as an artist? I think that word is very loaded and can mean a lot of different things to people.
yeah, it's starting to bug me a little bit. They're like, oh, they talk about artists and everything, and they're like mean musicians or they mean singers or something like that. I'm like, I don't know. That kind of bugs me because I think it's primarily because using the term as artist to describe musicians or singers or entertainers is kind of sucking the air out of the room for people who do art, who paint, who sculpt, who have another form of expression, because our society doesn't respect that nearly as much as maybe Justin Bieber or somebody like that who's making money for the entertainment industry. And now, they're the artists and stuff like that. And yeah, sure, they write some of these cats write some pretty good songs, but some of them write some bullshit songs. But they're also called artists. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But, what about artists who actually put something down that you could see and sink yourself into and kind of walk around and kind of that kind of thing. So it's like I kind of feel like the term artist has gotten a little watered down for me. I may be wrong, but that's just where I am. But for me, an artist would be someone who isn't afraid to express themselves and put themselves out there for other people to see. I mean, I could put this up somewhere, which I've had, and have people look at it and me not even know people are looking at it. And some people might hate it, some people might like it, but I want them to feel something when they look at it. And so for me, I think an artist is somebody who actively tries to evoke feelings from someone else by displaying something, whether it's something beautiful, something ugly, something that makes people think, or something political, or even like, a little bit violent, a little bit scary, So, if the artist is someone who could pull all those things out of somebody else, then I think that's a successful artist, whether they show at the Hirschhorn or not, or the coffee shop down the street,
Right, right.
So,
Yeah, I love that definition. I feel like it encompasses much more than what, exactly entertainers frequently is what we're thinking of for artists. And I think your definition is
hmm
much more expansive, and even like someone who's a writer, all these different things I
yeah,
would say are all different forms of artist work. I think a lot of people
yeah,
probably that even engage in these things don't identify as artists, but really should,
hmm
you know?
hmm yeah, I think so. And not let corporate society dictate who's an artist and who isn't. You know, So I mean, because it's too much, and that's why I'm like, I was like, you know what, I don't need to do a CV. I don't need the gallery system. They might not even want me anyway. I don't give a shit. I'm going to keep painting. I'm going to keep doing my art. And if I die with all my paintings sitting in my house, that's okay. If I have to take some paintings and burn some up because I need to make space for new paintings, then I will. So it's just like I found my way of thinking about, okay, it's not that important for me to be a world famous artist. I'm happy where I am, and I have something that's my own.
I love
Because I
that.
got people would look at Cityscapes of Noir, and I would get like, I would get like Facebook messages being like, I saw this and thought of you. and it'll be something completely different, like a photograph of somebody down in the street. I get that like all the time. It's like, that's what I want. I want people to see something and have that remind them of what I do, out of the context of, hey, that's Ramsey's work, out of the context of it being actually my work. They see that work and be like, hey, shit, that's Ramsey's work right there, but it's not mine. It's somebody else's. It's like, it's moving throughout the universe, I guess, a little bit,
Yeah.
So.
It sounds like you found a lot of value in the importance of your work within the community and other people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and how it resonates.
Yeah, I do enjoy that. And with my found punk stuff, which is steampunk, people are constantly sending me like steampunk work from around the world and everything. I'm like, oh, that looks cool. That's cool. And they're like, hey, can you do this? I'm like, yeah, no, I can't do that, but that's cool. That kind of thing. So,
yeah, just to know that you're inspiring, thoughts, ideas in other people.
Exactly. I think that's great. That's pretty much all I could be like, okay, this is all the fame I need. For people to actually see that and like, hey, that's Ramsey's work. That looks like Ramsey.
Exactly. I know there's some famous quote where it's like, if you've changed one life for the better, you've lived a life worth living.
Yeah. And I feel it feels good to be that way, So, and one of my rules is never be a negative influence on anybody. And so I'm trying to, I live my life with trying to inspire people to do other things. If I inspired somebody to be a painter and they go on to like show in Paris and stuff like that, that's awesome. I'm glad I can get you to that place by giving you some kind words and showing you, what's important, But yeah, I just try to encourage other people to do what they do,
If you could go back to 2016 and tell yourself anything, that moment when you were let go, yeah, what would you say?
If I can go back, I'd be like, dude, do that shit. Do it. No more graphic design. Do it. Because like I said, it's been kind of some ups and downs and some really downs. But, the universe has got me. I've seen that over and over again. I've seen when, I've had like art sales where nobody showed up and I got like into this, what have I done? Is this going to work? And got me doubting myself like big time. And then the next day, somebody calls me and bought a $600 painting. So I'm like, the universe, if you put it out in the universe totally listens. It, oh my God, it's so good. It totally listens. It's so good. So many instances where that works. Yeah. It's nothing and I know people pray to their deities and stuff like that, but that's not for me. For me, it's like trusting the universe to lead you. You put good energy out there, good energy comes back.
Yeah.
So.
And I think part of that trust is the surrender of control, right? Because like when you were feeling that way, you could have, say, I'm done with art in that exact moment and tried to take control back into the situation versus like sitting back and waiting for, the universe to come in a little bit and show you that.
Yeah, just you have to follow the signs. I mean, there's been many a times where that's just been like the case where I'm like, okay, I need this. And then proceed to work and then it shows up. Then something changes, be like, that's exactly what I need right now. Like, for instance, boom. When I first started out over here at the house with my workshop outside. Well, when you're welding and stuff like that, you got big projects, you have to weld outside because my workshop is too small to weld inside. So on days where it was raining, I couldn't work. On days when it was snowing, I'd have to go out there and shovel off the snow so I could work outside. Big projects, I had to build them, take them down, put them in the workshop and stuff. So it became a real headache when I started realizing that this is the direction I was going.
Yeah.
And so I was like, man, I need to get an inside shop before I even knew what was going to happen next. Well, what happened next was I get a big contract. I get enough money in the bank and I'm like, well, let me see if I can find a workshop. And I contact the guy that had a workshop on Craigslist. He was like, we don't let welding on down here, but I do have a shop where you can weld inside. I was like, okay. So I put that money that I had made and invested that into my workshop that I have now. And now I'm welding inside 24 hours and it's in badass. And I love the fact that the universe was like, dude, tell me what you need, work towards it, it'll show up. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, that's such a great example.
Yeah. And, you know, it's one of many things that has happened.
Yeah, no, I think it's so great that to learn to trust the universe doesn't mean that you don't take any action. There are still intentional actions that need to be done. It's that delicate balance of a little bit of surrender with intention as you move through it.
Because you can't just like, oh, I need this, and then sit back and wait for it to happen to you. That's not what's going to happen. That's not what's working. So you have to put in the energy to it, you know.
Do you feel like you have anything else you really want to throw in that maybe we didn't touch on? Otherwise, I have a closing question.
No, I think we touched on a lot.
Yeah, we did. We did. Okay, awesome. Well, then one of the questions I ask everyone on the podcast is, what is one thing that you wish other people knew was more normal?
What's the one thing I wish other people knew was more normal?
Yeah.
For kindness, man. Kindness. Oh, especially in today's world, man. You'll watch things on Facebook and on TV and stuff like that. It's just like the world is so wicked and mean. But you get out there and you actually be around people and you talk to people and you realize, yeah, it's not that bad out here. It's just not that bad out here. I mean, some places it's just like, yeah, you want to be, you know, kind of like protected. You want to be, you know, kind of cautious. You want to, especially, you know, me being a black man in America, holy shit.
Of course.
You know, I got to be cautious all the time, which is like becomes a headache. But for the most part, you know, I'll go to some places and I'll just come and walk in and be like, hey, you know, good morning, how y'all doing? And then get the good morning back. And the next thing you know, we're in these little conversations. And, you know, it takes kindness. It takes some patience. And it's like, sometimes you're just like, you know what? I'm going to make an impression on these people and they're going to like me before I leave. And sometimes, that's what I'm about. And sometimes it's just like, you know, I'm just going in, coming out. It doesn't matter to me. But yeah, kindness is something that people need to know is more normal than wickedness. I mean, wickedness is pretty prevalent now. I'm not going to lie. I'm not sitting here with my head in the clouds, but you know, kindness is still out there, and people still care, and people still want to care. So I guess that's it.
Yeah, I mean, that's spot on. I think that frequently media is not showing us that, obviously, because, you know, they're going to capitalize off of our fear responses, which are going to be much higher when you show all the negative things of the human existence. And I love how you talked about, yeah, it's not keeping our heads up in the clouds, but still understanding that at its core, most humans are kind and want to engage in kindness and community. We are such social creatures.
Yeah. It's, you know, if it bleeds, it leads. It's like, I don't want it to fucking bleed no more, man. I'm tired of the blood. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Sometimes people, sometimes people take it, or I guess this might be the first positive one. You know, I've had play, I guess, is like a something someone wanted to normalize, like more people engaging in play and creative expression. But for the most part, they're all very much like imposter syndrome, severe anxiety, doubt. Like, so you're one of the first guests to give like an actual positive. I'm like, hell yeah, this is good. I needed this.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad I can help you out with that.
Yeah, it was so great to have you. Do you want to plug?
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, where people can find your work?
They can find me on Instagram. I'm FoundPunkRVA. You know, that's where I post most of my creative stuff, my journey, my failures, my cats, you know. So I post stuff on there. You can find me also on Bike Monday Bros, which is a bike group that I created. I didn't create it. It just kind of happened organically. And so the Bike Monday Bros, and that's a bike group that we just meet up on Monday afternoons, Monday at 5:30. and invite anybody who wants to ride with us. Just show up with a bike. And we've had kids, we've had dogs, and it's not, because if you see most bike groups in town, they're either like a bunch of white guys, white folks, black folks, just everybody kind of doing their own thing in their own groups, But we're just like, not everybody show up, please. We want everybody. It's like, so we get a mixed bag of people that show up, and we have a great time. We talk, we meet each other, meet new people, and that's what I've always wanted, to be part of a group that was just so inclusive and friendly and kind. So we could just all people, just strangers, just hanging out, having a good time, riding bikes. So it's fun. It's awesome. So, and then there's RamseyArtworks.com, which is my website. And, Ramsey Artworks on Facebook.
Great. Awesome. Yeah, I'll put all of them below. It sounds like community is a very important value for you. I keep hearing that.
Yeah. For a guy that spends a lot of his time by himself.
You're like, yes, needed. Well, yeah. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. That's awesome.
If you enjoyed today's conversation, then subscribe for new episodes released every Wednesday, and follow us on Instagram at Modern Anarchy Podcast, where we open up a dialogue about all of these topics. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. And a special thanks to one of my favorite artists, Smith, for the intro and outro song to this show.